Hello, welcome back. Last time, our friends Induriel, Silence, and Tine all went to the uh, Gundamund's city armory, where a golem had been stolen. Tine was actually held up by a guard at the door, and she actually ran away down the hill. Uh, Silence tripped the guard to prevent him chasing or interfering with Tine. Then Induriel and Silence went into the armory, saw the room where the golem was stolen, and they both asked to make sure that the golem had not been checked out using the proper paperwork at all the night before, and also asked to speak to the creator of the golem. While a guard was going to look for the form to see if it had been checked out, the creator, Breida, came in, and it was strongly hinted that she knew Induriel in the past. So with that, we're getting into today's session. All right, so Breida knows Induriel somehow. I feel like it's definitely something that is not on the best of terms. I'm not sure what it is, so I'm going to roll an open question in the KNAVE Oracle. So I'm going to get a D20, a D6, and a D8 to create some weird 3-word sentence. 20 is 6, so break the people jealously. All right, the people jealously. So I feel like one of them did something that could harm or split up culture. I'm wondering if it was Induriel, because I was already starting to feel like it could be fun if she had, like, definitely not, like, all on the up and up character. I don't know much about her, and so having some hidden secret could be fun. Break. Jealously definitely fits in with just the thought of there being a rivalry. So were both of them involved in whatever this is, in which case it seems like a really weird scheme for a couple magic people to, like, be intentionally trying to break the people. At least of one. So Breida became a town guard. That could be out of guilt of working on something that would cause harm to people. What's another way you could break something? Split it apart. There's taking a break. Is this the people of Gundamans, since they're both in this city? Or is it somewhere else? I'm going to ask a closed question and say, is it somewhere else as opposed to Gundamans? Nat 20. Oh, yes, it's somewhere else. And comes to mind is it's a city that is at odds with Gundamans. Maybe not to the level of war. Oh, Tine was sent by people, or recruited by people who were trying to do some sort of economic espionage against some of the guilds in Gundamans. Let's see. The guild. Oh, the Agate Guild, was it? My notes are not super thorough. So this is they were both involved in a city that was opposed to Gundamans. Oh, was this another city where its people and guilds or something were starting to rise up. And so jealously is maybe they, for the sake of Gundamans, that is their city, went and did something. They were trying to break down the people of the other city in some way. I'm not sure I need to know that at this moment. And then perhaps Induriel's methods, or how far she was willing to go, were less savory than Breida wanted to be. So they were both on the same kind of mission, and then they had a falling out over it. Induriel didn't seem to recognize the name of Breida, so she may have just been covering it up really well. Or she's forgotten. How long ago was this? You know, elf and dwarf, let's roll a percentile die to give a rough estimate of how long ago this was. 48 years ago. This happened 48 years ago. All right, that seems to fit. So, well, that would mean Gundamans has already been around that long. I've been saying it's a kind of new city. I think I'm fine with that. You know, it's like fantasy timelines. And it really only started... No, it was prosperous right away. Let's say 18 years ago. Just to try to cut down the time. You know, so it's like, it's still been a bit. But, and then I can look into like how the city developed. Session off times to try to work out more of a timeline. Okay. So that's the current thought as to what's going on. So Breida walked in and said, "Yeah, Induriel, what are you asking about my golem for?" And Induriel looks down at her. "Oh, that Breida. Oh, I wish there had been a name involved. Hello, darling. How are you doing today?" "I'm not interested in pleasantries. I never wanted to see you again, honestly. So tell me again, what are you doing here asking about my golem?" "Well, Breida, if you didn't already know, your golem has disappeared, and I was volunteered to investigate and see perhaps what has been going on with it, why it disappeared, how it was stolen, all that delightful curiosity." Breida says, "Yeah, I know it's disappeared, and I'm already working on it. I'm a wizard, so I can use my magic just as well as you can." Induriel says, "Oh yes, Breida, I know that you can use your magic. How do you say, just as well as me? I might have to disagree with you there. Just because, you know, we have differences of opinion in usage doesn't really play into what levels of power or education one has." Silence is looking at this and not feeling exactly comfortable with both the tension, the argument, and Induriel's being a snob. So Silence is gonna shift over to just a little further away in the room, kind of backing away. At this moment, she's going to maintain a little bit of a silent attitude. And I'm going to have her make a perception check to look around the room and see if there is anything to notice. I believe that's wisdom in KNAVE. Yeah, that is wisdom, which is actually her highest stat. So let's see what Silence rolls. She's not looking for anything per se at the moment. You know, it's more like idle curiosity and avoiding that tension over there. 3 plus 4, 7. She doesn't see anything. I mean, she notices that there's the bluish purple flames and the stone circle in the ground. Or it's like a stone pedestal, I believe I said. So, she's looking around, can't really get away from the situation. She looks back, and the two women are... You can tell that the tension levels have really started increasing. They're, if looks could kill, uh, maybe like hints of their physicality imply aggression. It started as, polite conversation, quote unquote. I mean, it was never polite, but, the civil. Silence probably actually sees that they're both, like, making little things that look like maybe the beginnings of spells. And so, Silence... Alright, do I want... I was about to say I want her to interfere, but that's a little too easy. So I'm going to roll to see if she decides to interfere, or if she's going to, like, sneak out of the room. It's like, okay, this was a kind of interesting thing. I was here with Induriel. Induriel's being weird. My friend, Tine ran away. What am I going to do? So I'm going to ask, does she stay? I kind of, it's like, is it likely? I'm not sure, but I kind of want her to leave. So I'll put it at, did I say, did she stay or did she go? I mean, I can still rephrase it. Does she leave the room? Is the question. And we'll take the higher die roll. 8 and 8. All right. No, but she doesn't leave the room, but something else happens. She's going to be starting to, like, walk toward the door when the other guard, I believe his name was Timnin, comes running back and says, "Oh, so it turns out that the golem has paperwork that was filled out for it last afternoon, and it hasn't been returned." And Breida and Induriel both pause what they're doing and look at Timnin. What? What was that? Breida's like, "Give me that." She looks at it. "Who checked this?" All right. I'm going to find a name for who did this. Let's generate... Intern checked it out. What's he doing with it? He didn't even fill out the reasoning for it. Okay. Location is going to be at the Sapphire Covenant. Why would he be taking it to the Sapphire Covenant? Induriel says, "You said that, well, you didn't. It was, this device is for smashing things? For tearing down condemned buildings, yes?" Breida says, Yeah, it is. Hey, Timnin, has the Sapphire Covenant been condemned? Do you know? Timnin's like, "No, I don't think so." She's like, "Yeah, we'll go check. Go check." He turns, kind of rolling his eyes that he's just being sent to do paperwork, and leaves. Induriel says, "The Sapphire Covenant? I'm wondering, recently, I discovered that the cult of Sivanez has been stealing at least certain magical items. Is it possible that their disagreements have come to a head?" And Breida says, "So the cult of Sivanez steals things, but it was checked out by Anton." I should have... Antoine? I really should have checked the name. Now it's Anton. His name is Anton now, regardless of what you may have heard already. Anton checked it out. Although, maybe... I mean, I guess we should go there. We should go to the Sapphire Covenants and check it out. Induriel, yes, of course. A silence, dear. Do you wish to accompany us? I mean, to keep you safe, being with me is probably better than, I have to show you where my home is, and we haven't been there yet. Silence shrugs and says, yeah, all right. She's honestly thinking she might see Tine again if they go out into the city. So they start leaving the room. Timnon comes back and says, no, the Sapphire Covenant isn't on any of the records as condemned buildings. And Breida said, well, then why did he take it there? Is there any other you probably have to go look. We're heading down there right now. Timnon says, do you need any help? He seems very eager. And Breida says, tired of running for paperwork all day? And he says, well, yeah, it's more interesting out there. And if you're going to see where your golem got taken to, it might be useful to get some help. Oh, yeah, do you want me to tell the captain? Breida says, yeah, might as well tell him. He turns and starts walking back the halls. And Breida just keeps walking toward the exit. Induriel follows her. And Silence kind of looks down her shoulder and knows they're not waiting for him, so she follows after the two of them. They make their way through town. And let's see, what would kind of need a building location. It's like, what kind of building is this? Random locations. Town. So the Sapphire Covenant, when they get there, is a bit of a cloister with a stonework building that has a large tower at one end, a large meeting hall building, it looks like, and then there are, from the outside, there seems to be like two large stone buildings to the side, and it is beautiful. It's very fine dwarf stonework. There are, in each of the windows, it's like stained glass. Some of it's clear, and like all of them have an image of a little sapphire gem inset into it. And the gem is like shooting out little rays of light. So that's what this building looks like. They arrive there and look around. Do they see anything out of the ordinary? I'm gonna roll a closed question for that. Do they see anything out of the normal? 4. No. Just no. So, since they don't see anything out of the ordinary, they start going towards the door, looking around a little more specifically. So I'm going to have Silence roll a perception check with advantage or a wisdom check in this, with advantage because she has, 2 people with her, looking to see for clues as they go to the door. Ooh, both nat 1s. Both. That's the second time I've rolled the same thing on both die tonight. Okay, so they're not able to see any clues as they go to the door. So they knock. Does anyone answer? Yeah. And it seems likely that someone would. So that'll be at advantage. 18. Okay, 18. Someone comes to the door. A person in blue robes with a pale blue stole and pale blue trim on their sleeves and hem of their garment, opens the door and says, "Yes, can I help you?" Induriel and Breida both start to talk and look at each other. Start to talk both at the same time, look at each other, and Silence rolls her eyes and pokes her head around and says, hi, do you know anything about a golem being around here in the last day?" And the person, who seems like maybe a priest or cleric or of the Sapphire Covenant, says, "A golem? No? Should I?" And this time Breida gets a word in and says, "Yeah, a property of the town guards. A golem was supposedly going to be in this area last night, and we are trying to determine its current whereabouts." And the person looks at them and says, "Alas, last night I was not here. I had taken ill yesterday and was at my home until this morning. So I am not able to assist you. Would you please come in, and I can try to ask someone else here of whether or not they know anything of your misplaced golem." I'm trying to decide who's going to roll an insight check. Silence. I mean, Silence is my main character. You know, the others are character. Well, that's an interesting thing with like these solo plays. Like, depending on how the story goes, I feel like other characters can shift. Like, they're all player characters. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at Silence. Silence is going to make a wisdom check, which I believe is, insight, which I believe is wisdom. Perception and intuition. Yeah, okay. To see if she believes this lady. I don't even think she's consciously doing it, but, you know, it's like, are there vibes she's going to pick up on? 5 plus 4, 9. Okay, yeah. She's willing to believe them and go in there. So they all walk in, and this is the part of the building where it was more of a tower. And so they're in a alcove with where the door leads. There is a very smooth marble floor, some sort of small fountain in the center with in the marble there are sapphire colored inlays with, like, it still has like the patterning of marble, but it's sapphire colored, coming out in little beams from the fountain. And then there's another pair of doors which leads into more of what looks like a sanctuary. And the person who let them in, I need to get a name. Vari. Did I say a race? I think I just said a person. We'll go with 1 through 10 human, 11 through 20 dwarf. 3 human. They say, "Please wait here, make yourselves at home, while I go check with other members of the order to see if anyone was here last night or has heard anything." So Vari turns and walks down toward the sanctuary, moving between rows of seats. They see that down at the far end of the sanctuary there are other blue clothed figures, some also in robes, a couple in more of like tunic and pants. So there seems to be like a differentiation in maybe roll within this location. As they all stand and are looking around in this location are 3 women who have come to investigate this missing golem, having made their way to the Sapphire Covenant, are standing and waiting in an alcove to see if anything can be learned. And to see what they discover, they'll have to come back next time. Thanks for being here. As always, I really appreciate it. I hope you had a great time and would love to hear what you think. So feel free to comment down below. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye.